Good morning, everybody. Hope everything's going all right. How you doing this morning? Looks like it's another beautiful day in the Austin area. I'm coming to you live from the Lamppost Coffee Shop in Austin, Texas. And today's word, by the way, is authenticity. We're going to talk about being authentic today. It's always good to be authentic, be ourselves, especially when we're creating content for YouTube. So we're going to talk about being authentic. But I got to tell you, this morning, it's been a weird morning. It's sort of that midweek stuff going on where you just don't feel like doing much. So my energy level is a little down this morning, so you'll have to forgive me. Oh, I need my coffee. I was going to show you my setup. I've brought in some lights to help with the quality of the video. And so I think I've about done all I can do in terms of the live stream setup. And I was going to show you, it's part of being authentic, show you behind the scenes. I'll show you my setup and show you exactly where I am. I shot this video this morning, kind of give you an idea. Here's the entrance to the coffee shop. Right now it's not that busy, but it will be crowded by the time the hour is up. By noon it'll be crazy in here, but you can see here my setup. My orange cushion to keep me comfy. I've got my coffee mug and I've got my laptop, and you can see the lights that I brought in. So I've about right there is a good shot of the kit. I call it my live stream kit that you can use on the go. And so what do you think? I think I've about done all I can do. I can't plug anything else into my laptop or it's going to explode. It's going to rebel. So anyway, this is where we are coming from to you each and every weekday morning. Right now we are coming to you at 9 o'clock Central Standard Time, and I'm going to do this until probably the end of the year, maybe mid-December, and see if 9 o'clock is going to be the best time. I may bump the time, change the time up. We may move this thing up to, I'm thinking about maybe changing it to 11 o'clock, go from 11 to noon, something like that. Maybe here in a few weeks. I want to give us enough time to see if we gain some traction here at the 9 o'clock hour. And if not, it may not be the best time for a live stream. If it doesn't work out that great, then we'll move it up to maybe 11 o'clock and try that for a while. And then I may try a mid-afternoon stream and kind of look for the best time of day for folks to join us, especially in chat. So if you drop in, jump into chat, say hi. Okay, our word for today, authenticity. So what do you think? How important is it to be authentic today with the way AI is taking over? It seems to be the word of the day. So how do we be authentic? How do we ensure that we are being real, that we're being the real person that you see on camera instead of some fake? How do you come across as real? What's the difference between authentic and fake? Well, I guess it's pretty self-explanatory because you see who I am, you see me. This is the real me, my Texas drawl. Now, when I was in college studying radio broadcasting, we had to tape ourselves and we had to play it back, and we played it back before the class because most of us in the class were Texans, and we had this Texas accent, this Texas drawl. And when you get on radio and you do any kind of broadcasting or you do any kind of voiceovers for commercials or ads, in some cases you don't want an accent. In most cases, probably. And we had to work very hard to try to get rid of our Texas drawl. And you really had to pay attention. And I can remember as a disc jockey in the studio going with a script, turning records and doing all the things that we had to do, read the news. If you concentrate on your voice, it's much easier to get rid of the accent. You tend to fall into that Texas drawl or that accent, that southern accent, if you're not thinking about it. In your most comfortable conversational tone and speaking, you're going to fall back into your accent. Part of being authentic is just to speak the way you speak. And if people make fun of your southern accent, make fun of your Texas drawl, there's not a heck of a lot you can do about it. I mean, it's who we are. So you just have to lean into being yourself and being real. And in your videos, to help with the authenticity, as I said, one thing you can do is show a little bit of the background scene, show a little bit of your setup, reveal how you're doing your job, how you're doing your work, show some of the maybe some of the outtakes. A lot of people will show outtakes and mistakes and things that they do and edit out. They'll show those at the end of the video, kind of funny. So I haven't a real aversion. I don't know what it is, but so much of YouTube is so slick. Some of these YouTubers who are really good and have millions of followers, and they are coming from their studios at home or wherever they might be, it can be so slick and so professional and so high tech that it's just almost too real. So I see enough of that as it is. I want to see a little bit more authenticity. I want to see people as they are and not who they think YouTube wants them to be. So I think the word for the day, authenticity, is let's just be real. Be who we are and not try to be something we're not. Mistakes and all. And one thing about going live and doing a live stream is you're gonna get the real thing. You're not going to be able to fake going live. I mean, you come on live, especially in a public setting, and I look around and I see what's going on in the coffee shop, and people are probably looking at me thinking, what is this guy doing? But you know, it's weird. When I first started this live stream in a coffee shop, I thought people would really take notice. Let me show you. Well, where's my live stream? Hang on just a second. Let me see. Okay. There we are. Had a little glitch in the old camera, but I was going to show you. Here I've got all of this set up around me. Got all this junk, and I'm in my little corner. But if you look around, does anybody care? Everybody's sort of doing their own thing. So, you know, It's okay to get out there and just be yourself. And who cares if what, you don't need to be so slick. Just do your thing. Okay, well, let's look at what we're going to do today. We're through with our word for the day. And this is the format that I've been going by the last few days, and I think we'll keep this up. This gives us something to do while we're waiting on people to get into chat. And this sort of gives some framework, some structure to the stream. We'll have an intro, and then we're going to go into YouTube here in a moment, and we're going to look at a random channel and give it a critique. And we're going to look at the title and the thumbnail and look at the content and just watch a little YouTuber, see what that YouTuber does, and see if we can learn some lessons from it. Then we'll have a time of some Q&A. And then a guest speaker. I'll bring in a clip from a YouTuber that I have found that is kind of interesting, and we may look at that a while together and then go from there. So that's our plan for the day. Well, let's see. Let's head toward the browser. Here's YouTube as of today. Now I've gone ahead and randomly found a YouTuber I want us to look at, and it's this one right here. I just randomly picked him, and I guess I picked him because of the fact that I was looking for one YouTuber, one individual who comes on screen and does his thing. And this is under the search that I did. I did a search called artist drawing ideas is what I put into the search, and found it, this guy. And so what I want to do is look at this Sketch Better. This guy right here. Sketch Better Today. And what I want us to do is we're going to look at the thumbnail. And let's rearrange things here a little bit. These are the ratings. We're going to look at the thumbnail. We're going to look at the title. We're going to look at his intro. We want to look at his screen presence. Then we want to look at the overall content and try to get an idea of his overall presence on screen and how he puts together a video. And so that's kind of our criteria. Thumbnail, intro, screen presence. The intro and the title. Thumbnail, title, and intro are all going to be very important for us to look at. So, what do you think of the title and the thumbnail? Let's look at the thumbnail. You notice his text, Sketch Better Today, and he's highlighted and put a nice red box around today. And this is a nice technique here where he's hidden part of the text behind the drawing. It shows a little bit more effort and creativity in what he's doing. Oh, he's a lefty. He's left-handed. So what do you think of the thumbnail? Sketch Better Today. Looks like it's an 8-minute video. And this is the title. Right here. 5 tips that instantly made my sketches better. And he repeated the word better. He's got the word better in the title and the word better in his thumbnail. And so he's tying his title to his thumbnail, which is excellent. It's a good way to do it. Repeat a word that's in your thumbnail and your title. Using a number like 5 tips is also a good way to make a good title. Using numbers like 5 tips or 4 reasons or 8 strategies, or use a number in that title. That's good too. And it looks like this particular video has been up 6 months and it's got 450,000 some odd views, which is pretty good. 450,000 views in 6 months. Looks like his label name is Broken Draw. That's the name of the channel, Broken Draw. I'm not really sure what that means, but well, if we're going to grade him on his so far on his title and his thumbnail, I'm going to have to give him an A. So far, I think he's doing a good job. He knows what he's doing, because it does take some effort to get that thumbnail and title connected. He knows how to connect those two. So what are we expecting here when we watch his video? What's the value proposition he's making? He's going to give us 5 tips that instantly, all capitalized, instantly are going to make our sketches better. So let's pull it up and see. Let's pull him up. What we want to do is look at his intro.
The most important lessons, because if you want to be able to draw what you see, then you have.
All right, let's start back at the intro here.
Have you ever tried to draw like...
And we want to see him right out of the gate. So he's going to show himself on screen here, right out of the gate. Five tips that instantly made my sketches better. All right, so how's he going to start off here? We're going to look at the first 10 or 15 seconds.
Have you ever tried to draw like Paul Heston or Kim Jong-gi? If so, you probably realize it's harder than it looks. At least that's the case with me. So why does Paul Heston call this type of drawing
a mindless exercise?
Well, in order to find that out, I took his course, and he's onto something, because my drawings went from this to this in a week, and it's...
Okay, some comments here. First of all, the title talked about 5 tips, and so far he's not mentioned anything about 5 tips. That's a minor complaint, but first 10 seconds, you need to mention something about your title. You need to confirm, reaffirm your title. So I'm not so sure he's done a very good job here of his intro, because it really hasn't. I mean, it's kind of reinforced his title, but he hasn't said anything about tips. I want to go back and watch that again, because remember, the thumbnail said this is going to make my sketches better today, and the title says 5 tips that made my sketches better. Now he needs to reinforce that some way in the first 10 or 15 seconds.
Have you ever tried to draw like Paul Heston or Kim Jong-gi?
Well, he starts off with the question, have I ever wanted to draw like these people? Well, that is a departure from his title. It's not reinforcing what his title is.
If so, you probably realize it's harder than it looks. At least that's the case with me. So, why does Paul Heaston call this type of drawing
Okay, we're 10 seconds in, and he still hasn't talked about tips. He hasn't talked about what he's going to give us in terms of, he's talked about this artist and how drawing like them is becoming hard. So far he hasn't gotten into the meat of the video. He should have come out and said straight away, drawing's hard. I'm going to give you 5 tips that's going to make your sketches better instantly. That's all he has to say. That will reinforce the title. That'll let me know that when I clicked on his title and clicked on his thumbnail, that I'm getting what he promised me he's going to deliver on his title. And so far, he has not mentioned it.
Mindless exercise.
Well, in order to find that out, I took his course, and he's onto something. Because my drawings went from this to this in a week. And it's because of 5 tips I learned.
Okay, we're 28 seconds in. He's finally gotten to the meat of his video. 5 tips I learned. Well, you're going to lose a lot of people in 28 seconds. That's why they say the first 10 seconds is so important. And I'm wondering if he maybe should have come out with this right up at the start. Instead of waiting 28 seconds in, come right away with this. This should have been his intro right here. First 10 seconds.
Learned that instantly improved my sketching. And if you applied any one of these, then it would elevate your art right away. But once I incorporated all 5, it made a world of difference. And the first one is actually written on the page here, and it's to trust your eyes because your brain lies. This is one of the most important lessons, because if you want to be able to draw what you see, then you have to trust your eyes, because your brain is a machine of interpretation. It does not see what's there, it interprets it to what it understands. The prime example of this is if I asked a kid or someone who hasn't drawn before to draw some eyes, what they do is draw an eye like this.
Okay, so far we're 1:11 seconds in, and he's starting to get into the meat of his video. What do you think so far? In terms of his title, thumbnail, and intro, I think he had an excellent thumbnail and title, but then he lost me in the intro. So I'm going to give him a C on his intro. He let me down a little bit on the intro. He waited too long to get into the 5 tips. He gave us this sort of 20-second, 25-second introduction that really didn't reinforce his title. So if I'm some viewers, I may have dropped out, because 28 seconds is forever on a YouTube video. So let's begin to think about his screen presence. He's starting to do some really fine editing. He's doing some really good sound effects, transitions between scenes. Let's think about his screen presence. How does he appear on camera? Comfortable? Does he feel... Do you feel some since authenticity is our word for the day, does he come across as authentic? Is he looking real? So far, I think so.
Or maybe like this. Or if you said draw a smiley face, they would draw a person like this. The brain thinks in symbols, which is why...
Okay, he's making a good use of text here. And notice that the text is the font he's using is very simple. It's very easy to read. It's nothing fancy. It's a very easy font to read, and he's highlighted the important word here in yellow, symbols. So that's a great thing to do to keep your audience engaged is highlight these words in a different color. And while we're here, while we've got him screened, look at his background, look at his setup. He's got this huge open window behind him. See a coffee mug. See sort of a desk area in the background with the curtains and walls. So he looks like he's in his living room, and he's got a nice view out that window. He's lit well. He's got some good lighting. His microphone is right here, looks like. So he's got this mic, I guess is the mic he's using. Looks like a DJI lavalier. So good. So far, so good.
It can't draw what it sees. So you have to actually shut off your brain and draw exactly what you see. Trust what you're looking at. And this gets really hard when it comes to scale and sometimes as you're drawing.
Now he's using some B-roll. Some excellent B-roll because he shot this B-roll himself. It's not stock footage that he got off of some streaming service. This is B-roll that he shot of himself, which is a great way to do it.
You're gonna want to make something bigger or smaller because from your perspective, it just feels right. But you have to remember, trust the measurements that your eyes see. But one of the ways to trust what you're seeing is to make sure you're getting the correct measurements. And traditionally, if you wanted to draw what you saw perfectly, you would put a grid over the reference. But when we're drawing on location, we don't have the luxury of using grid, or if you just don't want to use a grid because you want to just draw with a pen and understand this stuff intuitively, then you can do the next best thing, which is to use a line. Now, there's an underrated simplicity to just imagining a line as you're drawing your subjects. For example, as I tried to draw this car, using lines would have helped me better measure my...
He's doing some good stuff here. Just real subtle. Just the fact that he showed himself on camera.
Line. Now, there's an underrated simplicity to just imagining...
He's switching from his office, studio, his home, his desktop, his interior scene, and he's going outside and making a good transition here using B-roll that he shot of himself.
A line as you're drawing your subjects.
And look at this. Just for a second, maybe 2 seconds, he shows his face. Now, he had to turn the camera around and take that shot. He had to edit that into his video. It doesn't come naturally. You have to plan on it. You have to see what you're doing and understand that your face is very important. People, the audience, the viewer gets engaged when you see the face. So he's doing
For example, as I tried to draw this car, using lines would have helped me better measure my proportions, such as the relationship between the edge of the car and the side of the car. You'll see in the reference that this shape is actually much bigger, and I didn't use the line here, but throughout your piece, you can use vertical and horizontal lines to orient the relative positions of other objects. So a straight line across the windshield helped me orient where the tree was supposed to reach. And even in the reference, you can see that the windshield is just slightly above.
Okay, here he's using a split screen, which again is variety. He's trying to break up the pattern as many ways as he can throughout his video and using different techniques, using a split screen. So that's a great idea as well. You always want to be looking for ways to creatively keep your viewer engaged so that they don't get bored. And this is the way you do it. You add different techniques, you add different scenes, you add different viewpoints. Split screen is a way to do it. It's a good way to try to do it.
The base of the tree. And using these lines one at a time will eventually lead into thinking like a grid, but most people can't imagine a grid in their head right off the bat. But everyone can imagine vertical and straight lines throughout their piece. So we can sort of triangulate relative positions in our drawing by using straight, vertical, and horizontal lines for reference. Now, if you want to build out your scene to have objects all scale accurately.
Okay, are you getting a pretty good idea of his screen presence, how he's coming across on camera? I think he's doing a pretty good job. We're going to move forward a little bit. Oh, I see this is a good way to scan through a video and take a quick look at the content. I see here he's got a what you call that? My mind's gone blank. Oh, okay, he's got a ad here. That's what it is. So here,
Today's video. Now, Craftsy is an online educational community.
and he's got this scanning bar up here. Yeah, okay, so he's doing an ad halfway through. He's got a sponsor. Well, when you get 500,000 views on a video, you can get a sponsor.
For $1.49. Whether you're interested in drawing or some other creative outlet, Craftsy has got you.
Okay, it's pretty long. It's probably about a minute long, looks like.
Now, what is anchoring? Anchoring is using one object to anchor the sense of scale and the size of.
Now look what he's done here. See these little things he's doing that you don't think about? Using this blue screen here to highlight what he's talking about on camera. And again, that takes some thinking, takes some planning, takes some effort. It's a very, it's something that you really look at and don't think, well, that's a pretty good idea. But when you're viewing it,
Every other object is measured in relation to this object. So in this piece, the anchor was my sketchbook. As I drew, every object was related back to the size in comparison to the sketchbook. So as I drew out my leg, I looked at, based on the length of this sketchbook, how much shorter is my leg? And it's about half the size of the sketchbook. So I put the leg down. And then looking at, well, compared to the sketchbook, how far apart are my legs? And you can measure these proportions out. And when you do this, it's another way to shut off your brain and trust your eyes.
Again, he's doing another pose of himself, looking on camera. He's shooting some B-roll and not forgetting to show himself within the environment.
Literally just trust the proportions based on what you see. And this is super important in POV drawings because the perspective is constantly warping. No matter where you look, your perspective is going to be warped.
All right, do you see the peak times here? Let's look at this graph at the bottom. These peak times are places where viewers have come back and replayed it. These are the most popular spots, the places in the video that are getting the most attention. And you can see he's got a few peaks here and there, but this one really took off. Excuse me. Jeez, my voice. So it'll be interesting to see right here at the 5-minute 50-second mark what has caused this
Foot
peak.
is way larger than the surrounding objects around it, and the scale just doesn't read as nicely. Now, another way to capture the proportions accurately is to just squint. Because as we said, the more information your brain has, the more interpretations it wants to make. So if we reduce the information that our eyes bring in, our brain has less to lie to us about. For example, when I'm trying to draw this car, I start out by just squinting so that I'm able to see the overall shapes rather than getting all.
That's a good use of editing there too. Blurring the screen like he's squinting and then highlighting the car with that blue mask, light blue mask. It really makes the video much more interesting.
all these individual irrelevant pieces of information, I see the bigger picture. And once I have the bigger picture laid out, only then is the detail relevant. This was another example of how I drew some cars. First, I start out with the base gray sketch, and you can see I didn't get a chance to finish here. I start out with the gray sketch so that I can focus on the overall shapes, and then afterward, I can add on detail where it matters. And speaking of overall shapes, we have tip number 5. This 5th tip is one I heard from my life drawing professor in college, shout out Mr. Thurman, and it's a way of measuring your proportions at a glance, and that's by using negative shapes. Everything we're drawing is 3-dimensional, so it can be easy to get lost in the dimensions and the form of it, but if you want to ensure that your objects read at a glance, what you can do is look at the silhouettes between them and look at the shapes that they make. So for example, here, when I'm trying to measure out how the car reacts to this fence, I could think about the form and the perspective, or I could simply look at the negative shapes that are being made where the car and the fence overlap. You see?
Okay, here, instead of a split screen, he's got an overlay. He's overlaid this car here, what he's drawing. Instead of doing a split screen, it's just another variation. And again, it's all about variety. It's keeping the viewer engaged. You're less likely to get bored when you see these kinds of editing techniques. It's just another variation. Well, let's see how he wraps this thing up. We're at the 8:11. We're about 20 seconds from the end. Let's see how he wraps this thing up.
Your observational sketching too. And a 6th bonus tip, if you want to improve your art, join Drawing Club. That's a weekly class hosted by me and some other teachers where you get to ask questions and interact in a live weekly lecture. Check it out if that's interesting. And also check out Paul Heaston's course on Craftsy because that thing is a 5 out of 5. Hope you guys found this video helpful. If you did, then definitely check out.
Okay, he's got an end screen, which is always good at the end of your video. You want to send your viewer to another video that's on your channel. You got them hooked. Don't let them go. So always use an end screen here. And YouTube Studio, of course, allows you to do this, to add these to the end of your video. Well, he's about to end this thing up. Looks like he's about done. What we want to do now, I think, is sort of reevaluate and kind of see what kind of a rating we want to give him. What do you think? An A, B, C, D? Thumbnail title, I think, was excellent. The intro was a little weak. I wish he would have just come straight out with the 5 tips and reinforced the title in the thumbnail right there at the first 10 seconds of the video, but he delayed it till about 28 seconds in. So the intro was not as good as I would have hoped, but that's okay. It's still pretty good. His screen presence is excellent. He's really good on camera. He's comfortable. He's personable. He's real. He's authentic. He knows what he's doing. Content overall was excellent. I liked all the variety, the use of split screens, the use of overlays, the use of text. So overall, I think he did a great job. So I'm going to give him an A for his overall rating. Maybe an A- because of his intro, but that's nitpicky. So what do you think? Let me know in comments or hop into chat. Let me know if you agree or disagree. Let me know what you think. And I think he did a pretty good job. All right. Well, looks like we've had our critique of the day. We've had our intro. How are we doing on time? Not too bad. We're just sort of hanging out at the coffee shop. Just kind of checking things out, seeing what's going on. As you can see, there's not much happening. Pretty slow going. Kind of quiet, which I like. Let's go this way. What do you think? Well, this is me. Hello. Am I being real? Yep. Well, I'm trying to be. This is awful fun. If you haven't tried going live from a public location, you ought to give it a shot. Because it can be a lot of fun. It forces you to not be so perfect, not be so slick. As you can tell, I'm anything but slick. That transition, I've added transitions and forget to turn them off. Comes with practice. That transition, hear it? It plays automatically when I supposed to anyway. These transitions. That one's a little old. Getting a little old. I've heard it too many times this morning, so I'm going to make sure it's turned off. All right. Let's look at some questions here. How's that for a music interlude? To get us into our questions, a little musical transition. All right, let's see here. Question number uno. How often should I post to grow faster on YouTube? Well, good question. How often should I post? Well, it's going to depend on the content. Let the content be the king. I mean, it just depends. If you can go once a week, go once a week. If you can go once a month, go once a month. If you can post every day, post every day. But you want to make sure your content is good, is quality. You don't want to just throw stuff out there. So let your intentions, let your video content, let your schedule determine how often. Of course, the more you can put on, the faster you put on, the better. The more you can upload and get content on your channel, especially if it's new, the better. So well, let's see. What's the best time of day to upload videos? Well, we looked at that yesterday, and we decided that according to ChatGPT, it looks like that if you're going to post during the week, during the weekdays, the afternoons are good, between like 2 and 5 p.m. Because the peak time during the weekdays for YouTube viewing seems to be late afternoons, early evenings, when people are getting off work and kids are coming home from school. They immediately get online and start looking. So if you're posting during the week, you may want to look at the between 2 and 5, something like that, 2 to 3 o'clock in the afternoon. On weekends, the viewership is going to shift a bit. On weekends, it's going to be more broadly available to people because they're at home and they're relaxing, and so probably mid-afternoon is a good time. You want to avoid real early and you want to avoid real late. You want to post somewhere in the mid-afternoons, probably on weekends. So decide what your schedule is going to be. Pick you a day. Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays are usually pretty good days to post. And pick your time and probably be consistent, I would say. I would say you want to pick a time and stick to it, especially when your channel starts to grow and you start gaining an audience. They will know that certain times of day, they'll get to know that on a Tuesday, for example. They'll get to know that on Tuesdays at 4 o'clock you're going to post. And you can mention it in your video. You can say the next video is going to be on next Tuesday at 4 o'clock or whatever. So you want to be consistent, and you want to probably be on a schedule. Pick yourself a day and pick yourself a time. How do I know what my audience wants to see? Well, you've got to do what I do every day, and that's just spend time on YouTube. Look at your niche, and start looking at videos in your niche and see what other YouTubers are doing and see what the viewers are doing and get an idea of what your audience, your potential audience, is looking at. That'll give you some idea. And what about hashtags on YouTube and Instagram? Well, if you're a new channel, they're very important because they'll help you get noticed more by the algorithm. The algorithm doesn't know you, and hashtags will help you, and the algorithm help the algorithm get to know you. That's what I'm trying to say. As you become more experienced and you gain more of an audience and you become more of a YouTuber, as you grow, then hashtags become less important, but they're still sort of there to support the content. So I would say hashtags are still important, especially early on, but as time goes, they become more in a support role, but it doesn't take long to use them. So I say go for it. Now you've got different types of hashtags on your YouTube studio. You've got video hashtags, you've got channel hashtags. So get into YouTube Studio and be sure you look for the appropriate places to stick those hashtags and use them. All right, what else? Let's see, any more questions? I guess that's it. Well, we had a quick Q&A. All right, anything else going on? Anybody in chat have anything to throw our way? Add some stuff in comments. If you're watching this video a year from now, go ahead and stick some stuff in comments. Let me know what you think. Looks like our time's going to be up here in a few minutes, so I'm not sure there's anything else we need to talk about other than this. I've really been having an issue with this channel, and I'm thinking about taking a sledgehammer to this channel and really narrowing down the niche. Now you'll notice I've got all of these various categories on here: politics, fine art, social media, culture, artificial intelligence, and they're mostly shorts. And I'm really thinking I need to niche down and get rid of all of these shorts. And so I think what I'm going to do in the coming days is I'm going to go in here and I'm going to take a knife and I'm just going to start cutting these shorts out. I think they've gotten all the views that they're going to get, and I really want to build this channel, this Even Rabbits channel, around social media and around YouTube. Posting on YouTube, developing YouTube channels, becoming a YouTuber, monetizing, all of that kind of stuff, plus social media in general. So I'm going to look at these categories, and if there's nothing in here that's that's related to social media or growing a YouTube channel, I'm taking it out. I'm going to send it to the unlisted, and I think we'll go from there, because I've got 3 channels. I'm thinking about starting a 4th one, and I'm thinking I'm going to niche down on all of them. I'm going to niche down on all 4 of those channels and try to be a little bit more careful about my content, because when a viewer clicks on one of my videos, let's say I've got a fine art channel and I've got a video on how to draw a portrait. If a person clicks on that video and then goes to my channel, I don't want them to have to face all of this junk or anything that doesn't have to do with drawing a portrait or fine art. And that's why it's so important to niche down, because if you go from the viewer's point of view, if you put them in, in terms of importance, it's what's important to the viewer, not what's important to me. I want to help the viewer. What can I do to help them, to serve them better? And so if a viewer watches one of my videos and they go to that channel, I want that channel to be of the same interest of the video that they just watched. I don't want them to click on a fine art video and go to a channel that's got politics on it. I mean, that just makes no sense. So what I'm saying is, I think I'm going to be doing some redesigning of my channel, and I'm going to go through and I'm going to just eliminate all of this junk and start niching down and focusing on the content. And our goal, of course, is to get to 1,000 subs. I want to get monetized on all 4 of my channels. And so it's going to be an interesting journey, and I hope you will join me in that journey. Maybe we can work on this together. So it all takes practice. It all takes time. And it all takes effort. Nothing comes easy. If it was easy, everyone would do it. So I think we're done for the day. Thanks for being with me. Thanks for hopping in chat. Thanks for viewing. And again, if you're going to see this later on down the road, feel free to go ahead and put something in comments and I will get back to you. I always like to reply to comments, and so don't hesitate to do that. And until I see you again tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock, here from the Lamppost Coffee Shop, I am really over. Did I say I'm over? I'm really over and out.
I thank you for watching today. I'll see you again soon.
And when you ba-da-ba-da-ba